Hi guys, how's it going? Hope all's doing well. And I wanted to mention today on this video the early red flags people often miss in an abusive relationship. So these are signs. I believe that I have 6 of them. These are 6 signs that if you're around somebody or you're experiencing any of these signs, this is like an early warning that it's an abusive relationship. So if this helps you, please take it for what it is, and if it's any of these that you spot, leave, because it's only going to get worse. So with that, I'm going to get right into it. Early red flags people often miss. Abusive relationships rarely begin with abusive acts of violence. In fact, many abusive partners initially appear charming, attentive, loving, and deeply committed. They often know how to make someone feel special, valued, and secure. This is one of the reasons abuse can be so difficult to recognize in its early stages. So it's more like they gaslight you, and love bomb you, and just that's a sign. It's a warning sign. Oh, I love you, this and that, and then it slowly creeps in. Why did you do that? Or they put you down on a regular basis, or they deflect when something happens. It's your fault. These are signs. So warning signs often emerge gradually, disguised as love, concern, or protectiveness. One of the early red flags is controlling behavior, disguised as affection. So, in other words, an abusive partner may insist on knowing where you are at all times, who you're with, or when will you return home. And they may say, I just worried about you because I love you. That's no good. If they're constantly up your hiney, wanting to know what you're doing, where you at, who you with, and then they put it off like they love you, and again, they're deflecting it onto you because you're out doing whatever. Not saying you're doing anything bad, but in their eyes, they want to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So they'll deflect it, making it sound like they love you, and that's why they're concerned. That's why they're asking you those questions. While generally concern is healthy, constant monitoring, demanding for your whereabouts are signs of control rather than care. So please note that. Please note that it's constant monitoring that demands your whereabouts is part of abuse. So keep that in mind. Another warning sign is moving the relationship too quickly. This happened to me. I was with the person maybe a month. This was one of my relationships. I was with the person maybe a month, and already he was telling me he loved me, and I thought, wow, he must really care, because then it was the doors opening, the sending flowers, the gifts, all that. So an abusive individual may pressure their partner into making serious commitments early, declaring love after only a short time, or insisting they are soulmates. They may encourage the relationship to become exclusive immediately, or pressure for marriage before trust has had a chance to develop. So those are warning signs. That's a red flag. So this whirlwind romance can create emotional dependence before unhealthy behaviors become obvious. So number 2, moving the relationship too quickly. So that's another red flag. So number 3, Isolation from family and friends is another common early warning sign. This happened to me as well. They want to get you away from your family and friends, because then if they go to do something, you can't run and tell them. And then they can deflect again. It's your fault. This is why because you're not around family and friends to see what's going on. They keep you isolated. So the abusive partner may criticize loved ones, complain that they take too much of your time, or create conflict whenever you spend time with others. Over time, this isolation leaves the victim with fewer people to turn to for support and perspective. So like I said, they do it on purpose, so you can't bounce things off of them and say, hey, Joe's doing this to me. I got something isn't right. And then they may come back, a family and friend may come back and say it's not right. Well, by them isolating you, you can't ask those questions, and it keeps them in control. And then it builds your mindset to what they want you to be. And it's not good. So many survivors also report experiencing constant criticism disguised as jokes. Hurtful comments about appearance, intelligence, abilities, or personality may be followed up by statements like, "Can't you take a joke?" Or "Are you just too sensitive?" These repeated insults slowly erode self-confidence and make victims more likely to accept further abuse. So keep in mind, the isolation of family and friends puts that control from the abuser onto you, so you can't get any feedback on the outside of the relationship to know something isn't right. So keep that in mind. Fourth red flag, extreme jealousy. So another overlooked warning sign is extreme jealousy. While some people mistake jealousy for passion, healthy love is built on trust. So healthy love is built on trust. An abusive partner may accuse you of flirting, question innocent conversations, or become angry when you spend time with coworkers, friends, and even family members. Jealousy often escalates into possessiveness and controlled behavior. And one of my relationships, I worked for a local dealership, as the greeter, I guess, where you take the calls. If somebody calls into the dealership and you direct them to what department, or if somebody's coming in to the dealership, you offer them drinks or whatever and place them where they need to be while they're waiting. And keep in mind, salesmen are there. And so in my situation, my abuser hated the fact that every day I went to work, that he thought I was coercing with the salesman just to get away from him. His mindset was I was doing everything I could to get away from him by being around these salesmen. So he would come into the dealership and cause a scene, and literally cause a scene, to where he had to talk to me. And because I was married to him at the time, my manager said, you need to go out there and talk to him and ask him to leave the premises, or we're going to have to forcibly. And then that was no good, because then if they forced him out and cops were called, I would have got it when I got home. So it's bad. So that's what happened to me on the extreme jealousy part. Even though I wasn't doing anything, it was the fact of being around all these salesmen, and in his mind, oh, I've got every opportunity to be with somebody other than him. So number 5 is victims may also notice that their partner refuses to accept responsibility for mistakes. Instead of apologizing, they blame others, make excuses, or insist that someone else caused their behavior. So this happened to me. So let's say your abuser's doing something and you feel a gut feeling they may be cheating, and they hide their phone, so you want to look in their phone, and they get abusive. Well, that's your fault. You made me do it because you went from my phone. Well, no, it's their fault because they're cheating and you had a gut feeling. You know what I mean? So it's always deflecting. It's always, that's part of the abuser's MO, is never taking responsibility for the abuse. It's always somebody else's fault, not theirs. 6, one of the most damaging red flags is gaslighting. And I mentioned this a little bit ago, a form of emotional manipulation that causes victims to question their own memory, judgment of reality. They kind of make you feel crazy, like, what are you talking about? That never happened. Or, you know, the abusive partner may deny saying hurtful things, claim events never happened, or insist the victim is imagining problems. Over time, victims may lose confidence in their own perceptions and become increasingly dependent on the abuser's version of reality. So that's what they try to do. So those are the 6 red flags. Let me address them again. Number 1, controlling behavior disguised as affection. Number 2, constantly monitoring and demands your whereabouts are signs of control rather than care. Number 3, isolates you from family and friends, so you can't provide feedback to them what's going on, and they can side and understand the situation and tell you, hey, something ain't right, you need to go. Because they don't want that. They want you to stay all around them or by yourself. So every time you turn around, you're thinking something ain't right. But when they do it over time, like it says, you start to think the abuser's right. So that's that. And then the 4th red flag is extreme jealousy, you know. And then the 5th red flag is never to accepting responsibility for anything that's happening. And the 6th one is gaslighting. And it's a form of emotional manipulation, making you think that you're crazy, that it's all your fault, it's you that is doing it. Hurtful things, claim events never happened, insist the victim is imagining problems, that kind of thing. But perhaps the greatest lesson in this is abuse is not defined by a single incident, but by a pattern of power and control. Recognizing these early warning signs can help individuals make informed decisions before emotional abuse escalates into physical abuse. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, honesty, kindness, and freedom, not fear, intimidation, or control. Successful relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, honesty, kindness, freedom, not fear, intimidation, or control. So, hope that helps anybody who might wonder what those warning signs of an abusive relationship is. There's 6 common ones. So if you need to watch this video again and take some notes, please do. I'm here if you need me. I do this so it can bring light to victims and survivors who's experienced this, because your brain has been conditioned to what the abusers want you to think and not what's right. So when you leave somebody that's an abusive partner, that's just the beginning. You have to then go through step by step of reconditioning your mind back to a healthier way, so you can rebuild relationships moving forward into a healthier way, and not what the abuser had for you. So I hope this helped somebody. With that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It will help get this information out to other victims or survivors that may be struggling with the same topic. And with that, have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me today.